Hey everyone, and welcome to the Revolutionizing Media podcast. I'm your host Evan, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what the series is and what you can expect from it. This podcast series is my senior capstone project, and I'm going to be talking to different people in the media industries. I'll be talking to people in the film industry, the news media industry, and the music industry. A little bit about myself before we get started. I grew up in Northern California, and I moved to Hawaii with my family after graduating high school. While growing up, I really fell in love with music, and I played alto saxophone and the drums in school. I was also working at a movie theater in high school, which is really where I became more interested in film, and especially sound in film. When the time came where I had to choose what I wanted to pursue in college, I really couldn't choose between music and film. This is why I ended up choosing the creative media program at UH West Oahu, because I realized it would be a place for me to foster my creativity and also to discover new things that I would potentially like. Nowadays, for fun, I really like to post videos of myself playing drums on social media. I really love reggae music, and by making reggae covers on the drums on social media, I've made a lot of really interesting friendships. For instance, one of my favorite artists is a Russian reggae artist who I've done drum covers for, named Rastaveli MC. This is crazy, you guys. How many Russian reggae artists could you name off the top of your head? There are so many other independent artists out there like Rastaveli who've been able to make a name for themselves. I actually ended up interviewing Rastaveli MC for a research paper that I did on a class a few semesters ago. The theme of the paper was reggae music in Europe, but we ended up talking a lot about how he was able to make a career for himself as an independent reggae artist in Russia. This interview with Rastaveli was the groundwork, so to speak, that got me thinking that doing a podcast would be a good idea for a future school project. When talking to Rastaveli MC, I really realized just how useful and helpful accessible technologies can be for independent artists who are trying to get their name out there and make a career for themselves. As of today, Rastaveli has like 2,500 monthly listeners on Spotify and has many YouTube music videos with over 10,000 views. So here's just this guy in Russia recording reggae music of all places in the world. A self-made Russian reggae artist. Just think about that for a minute. Do you think his music would see the same international success if he were going through traditional means through Russian studios and record labels? I don't think so. But what do I know? I'm not in the music industry. I don't have any formal training in that field. But as interesting as this specific case is, we're seeing a lot of similarities between different media industries. My main goal for the podcast series is to explore further how accessible technologies and new platforms are changing the media industries. We will particularly be looking at the film industry, the music industry, and the news media industry. Opportunities have greatly increased in these fields for independent creators, and this is an evolution that's happening as we speak. Nowadays, anyone can go out there and buy a camera that's capable of shooting in 4K or professional audio-grade equipment or software that professionals use. Then they can promote and distribute their work with new platforms and social media. With the accessibility of all these tools in the digital age now, this democratization of technology is clearly having an effect on these industries, and I want to get a better sense as to how. There are so many examples of independent creators using these new technologies and platforms. One example is Sean Baker, who actually shot his 2015 movie Tangerine on an iPhone 5S. The budget was only $100,000, but they raked in more than $900,000. Then again, in 2018, Sean Baker shot a movie called Unsane on an iPhone 7, which also made more than 9 times its budget. My sense is that these sort of success stories are deconstructing the idea that, big movies have to be shot on IMAX cameras and be distributed in big theaters. We're also seeing something similar happen in the music industry. So, for example, Lil Uzi Vert made his song EXO Tour Life on FL Studio and then distributed it on SoundCloud, which turned out to be a huge hit. one of the most popular songs of the 2010s. Both the editing and producing software FL Studio as well as SoundCloud, the distribution platform, are very easily accessible. So it seems to me that nowadays we're seeing a lot more of these bedroom producers rather than people who go to traditional music studios. Then in the news media industry, we're seeing a lot of independent journalists and reporters who have more capabilities now due to social media. Just one example of this is Dylan Page on TikTok. He's basically just a talking head news media creator, and he often performs better than some of the big traditional news outlets such as CNN. It seems now that consumers are looking more for independent news outlets compared to big traditional networks. This phenomenon is very relevant because it has also led to a lot of misinformation and fake news. And these are just a few examples. There's clearly a shift going on in the media landscape. Independent creators are getting better and better at using these accessible tools. And because of that, I think we're straying away from more traditional media. This has been happening. It's happening right now, and I believe it's going to continue to happen. I really want to get the interviewees' perspectives on how these technologies are changing their field, how they're opening doorways for independent creators with opportunities, potential challenges or hardships independent creators still might face, and also a projection of what the future of these industries might look like. The capstone's really been quite a journey so far. Last semester, my research really focused on these technologies, but also different aspects such as automation tools, how the creative process is changing because of new technologies, independent versus studio production, AI and media. My research dabbled in all these different types of aspects. Now, this podcast's main focus is on the accessibility of these new media technologies and the rise in independent creators. I really hope this podcast offers insight for people who find themselves like me. I have some direction. I know I want to work in some area of the media industries, but I also don't really have professional experience, and I don't know where exactly I will end up after graduation. By talking to people who are intimately involved in these industries, I really hope to gain some insight. For the podcast, I'll be using a 2-track audio interface as well as 2 XLR microphones. I'm going to be editing on Adobe Audition and Adobe Premiere Pro, and then I'll distribute it to different platforms. I don't even know if this project would be possible 15 or 20 years ago. Back then, people would have most likely have had to record it in a studio to make it happen. But here I am in the comforts of my own home. The task is a little daunting, but I'm so focused right now, and I've already learned a lot from my research last semester. I know that by actually having conversations about these issues, I'm going to learn so much more. We're going to be talking to professors and true professionals in the different media industries. I really can't wait to share this series with you all, so stay tuned for next time, where we will discuss this evolution in the film industry. See you then.